experimentations based on observations serving world science. Looking at a man's face, watching him constantly. We are traveling on the bus, and since I've been studying him for a little while now, I can see a few fairly interesting things, such as 1. He's got a shape of a human being. 2. He's definitely in a sitting position. 3. Obviously, he had to get on the bus somewhere, somehow. 4. He'll probably get off someplace. It is also fair to assume that 5. He might be staying on till the last stop. Therefore, A. I have plenty time for further investigation of the matter. B. If he has not already, perhaps he'll eventually notice my presence as well. C. He might pull out a knife on me, he may not. And also occurring, D. His home could be the whole universe. Those are my initial points. After correctly taking inventory in such fashion, I suddenly noticed something else. He's got a cast around his neck. That fact doesn't find me unprepared a bit, but it wasn't taken into consideration in the first place. Now I decide to take a few shots of him with my old camera. The pictures soon reveal what was already quite apparent to me, namely, that my dear fellow is from the Orient. However, I let the authorities determine his true identity. I tried to look at his face from the side viewpoint, and his profile has a very pleasant, somewhat smooth features. He's looking right in front of himself. I extensively study his emotionless face and notice nothing peculiar at all what I'd hide from my own beloved mother. I carefully get up now and try to sneak up to a better position. As I get fairly close to him, I realize that something smells funny, like rotten cheese or something. I have to back out a bit not to throw up. That brings back an old story about a blind chap who, on his daily walk, once happened to go near the dairy farms. At the gates, where the unpleasant smell was possibly the strongest, he stopped for a moment, took his hat off, and said into the air, "Hello, my dear ladies." But back to my good man again. Perhaps he still doesn't know that I keep such a close eye on him. He shows no sign. But I'd show a stroke sign of dizziness if I stepped any closer to him. I keep my distance, therefore. My thinking is that he's either keeping something terrible in his pocket or working for a cheese company. Maybe the whole person is in a real bad shape. Now I take a look at his socks, and that explains everything. They are made out of the well-known synthetic nylon material. Fortunately, because of the cast around his neck, he's unable to turn his head around, so I can safely watch him without any trouble. His eyes are temporarily closed now, and it looks like he's taking it kind of easy. I conclude that after lunch he either took some sleeping pills or had a strong cup of coffee. Against all odds, I bravely take up the empty seat right next to him. As I'm getting a bit comfortable, I look over the other way, and much to my surprise, I see a man with a video camera filming us like a professional. I can hardly breathe. I'm thinking that I should be a little more careful, so I take the next chance and get up. I move toward the door into the far corner. From there, I can't enjoy that lovely smell anymore, but I live with that. Soon, we arrive to the last stop. I try to hide behind a big woman, but I still keep an eye on that fellow. The camera is still following him. Now he suddenly gets up, turns towards me, and starts walking right at me. Soon as he nearly reaches me, he suddenly turns 90 degrees, but not without dropping off a piece of paper. Then he gets off the bus. I follow him with my eyes in a tremendous shock as he's getting farther and farther away from the bus. I try to organize my thoughts, but it's not easy to have a grip on myself. The heavyset woman standing near me shows a friendly smile on her face, but when I reach down for the piece of paper, she ruthlessly steps on my hand with her high-heel shoes. I'm in a terrible pain right now. The lady eventually gets off too. With my aching hand, burning eyes, and confused mind, I'm kneeling down there, and suddenly everything becomes quite clear. This man knows everything, but understands absolutely nothing. By the time I get up, everyone is gone. Now I can take a look at the little paper scrap. It reads the following. are body activities and reactions under heavy pressure on the liver. The functioning reactions of the hypothalamus based on studying and diagnosing such problems. The behavior of the saturated liver, as well as its dysfunctions in the state of complete blackout of the brain, resulting in cases such as skull fractures and simple skull injuries, as well as mental blocks, back neck climbing, and their effects in various situations and illnesses. Written by Victor Korep. I read it out to myself several times back and forth before I get something out of it. I still can't grasp it fully, but it's only fair to say that whoever wrote it was no scumbag, to say the least. In other words, the man had to have a deep scientific mind. The handwriting is not easy to read, but below the title it goes like this. 1. Skullbase fractures. 2. Subskull fractures. 3. Back of the skull fractures. 4. Skull form fractures. 5. Skull-shaped fractures. 6. Skull-shaped eruptions. 7. Over skull fractures. A. Mide diffractions. B. Cracks. C. Elbow type pushing about. D. Spheric fractures. E. Other occurrences. 8. Kneeling and remorse. And that was all it was on that paper. No more, nothing else. Apparently, all this had happened more than a decade ago. I had but the handwritten information available, and I still have in my possession the original piece of paper. Since that day, I have not seen the man with the cast whom I watched so desperately. Neither have I seen the cameraman, nor the woman who has stepped on my hand so kindly. I've been looking all over the world to locate them, to no avail. Meantime, I've started pursuing this exciting matter, and I've been consulting with the leading authorities from various countries. I've spoken with many experts and elders, and I also have studied the case extensively. After many years, finally, I have had to make a big decision. I had to take charge, and I, myself, must complete the work what Mr. Korep has started. At first, I proceeded very slowly. For many years, I'd hardly advanced at all, although I went through a tremendous amount of information in various libraries, hospitals, private homes, and other institutions. The crucial point occurred on the day when I finally obtained my long-awaited, many times denied, Hungarian passport from the Bolshevik authorities. Since then, I've been traveling from and to many countries on different continents, and I managed to get a good amount of information concerning the subject. It took me a long time to study it and analyze it. Fortunately, I got a good amount of help from my colleagues. Let us see now the most prominent ones appearing here, as their dedicated involvement deserves our greatest appreciation. István Sápi, Hungarian peasant. Well, humans from Earth reaching the moon as fact or as commercial propaganda. Dinu Miculescu, Romania, serving life term in Switzerland for killing a policeman. Now, man, you're gonna think out the plans, and then we're gonna surround the bank. Don't worry. Jeremiah, living in Miami, retired. Money talks, bullshit walks. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Socrates, Iliopoulos, Greece. All wars are historically major or minor cleanups of mankind. The necessity of periodical genocide. Alexander Demi, alias Shandy, longtime permanent resident of the United States. Life is a big ugly shit sandwich, and no tooth will remain unbroken when we take a bite. Giorgio Nicodemus, Swedish astrologist, currently living in Honolulu, Hawaii. You see, the masses have this terrible desire to follow orders. They just can't live without it. You've got to give it to them, my brother. Charles Massey, Liverpool, England. He's got a tattoo on the lower arm. Life is a bleeding sin, mother. Pierre Lafleur, Toulon, France. The only way you people are gonna see me smile, believe it or not, is if you truly say something really funny. And finally, Mr. Lorenzo Bakwi, Calcutta, India. In the age of total darkness and confusion, we have but one final choice, if you will. The crystal clear thinking. Now that will lead us again to the total confusion. Supposedly the largest medical library of the world is in a seemingly ordinary looking building in Bethesda, Maryland. It contains several floors below ground level. Here, in this very building, I finally located the man I was looking for, the man who was harder to find than a hiding terrorist. But I found him finally. His name is Mr. Victor Korik. He's currently working here in utility, mainly cleaning. Let me present here my honest interview with him, word by word. Question, answer. Could you please help us complete this work, sir? 13 blood victims of Arad and some serious noodles with cottage cheese. Question. I'm looking for directions. Übung macht den Meister. I see. Quod licet Jovi, non licet bovi. I understand that. Ain't nothing better than a rainy night in June. By the way, sir, have you got any idea how to start after the initial points? I'm talking about the 13 blood victims of Arad, if you know Hungarian history. You got it. And then? Get the hell out of here. He means that I should leave now. But please, sir, I'm not asking for myself. Get your ass out of here, you shitface. Question. But I came from far away just to see you, sir. Answer. You can have a good time at many places, but there ain't nothing like home, is it? Sweet home, but which way shall we move then? Bumper sticker. Yes, maybe something more reasonable, sir. Answer. 13 blood victims and the noodles plus potato soup. Indeed. We always get stuck here. Answer. As many peoples, as many languages, plus perhaps a few more. Got you. To himself. Victor. You are a spitting image of Vittorio. Question. Yes. Anything else? Answer. And in the land of hatred, the devil is the ruler. Question. What do you mean by that, sir? Answer. You live with closed eyes, ignorantly. He closes his eyes now. Question. Open your bloody eyes when you talk to me, you bastard. Answer. We could live without a dog, but we really shouldn't, should we? Question. Since when? Since you're an idiot. He's whispering now. Think about it, my dear. Oh dear, something else. Still with closed eyes. There's manure on the lawn, madam. Manure on the lawn. Go on, please, go on now. Skullbase fracture. Gradually dropping his arms, slowly opening his eyes. His viciousness resulted in a broken skull. Go on, Victor. 13 victims, alright. Don't make me lose my composure, please. But I don't want to lose the line either. Just run my champion. Don't you miss the puppet show. Good Lord, please go on. He's sitting silently now, with his head down, eyes looking. No. You can't do that to us, Steve. He hasn't changed his position. I'm kneeling down and begging him to say something. He's still breathing and speaks no more. The way we get to the final solution is of secondary importance. The path will be full of struggle, as smooth as silk. That means nothing. If the final picture is clear to everyone, there is no need to look back at all. Toshiko Seko, out of Japan. Well, good evening. Let me talk to you about the skull-base fracture. It is a medically recognized problem known for centuries. A Dutch bricklayer had discovered that if you shatter something at its base, it collapses like a house of cards. Consequently, it is scientifically proven that any kind of serious damage of the small bricks or cells in our brain will lead us to skull-base fracture. Therefore, we've got to avoid all kinds of bad vibrations. Subskull fractures, also known as subconscious fractures. These are real fractures. People who cannot face the vibrating and harsh realities of everyday life could suffer from serious wrinkles in their subconscious minds, which can also be shown by X-rays. And that may lead to partial or total darkness of the mind. In other words, it is diagnosed a subskull fracture. Latent periods, several generations, not to be confused with skull-base fracture. Back skull fractures. This category contains all the different types of fractures occurring behind one's head, which he doesn't wish to know anything about. We can find further information on the subject under ignorance in various books. Skull form fractures. Still a fairly unknown area in science, whereas the human head as a separate entity being studied from the whole body, suffering from mind breaks. Nowadays, its main occurrence is best known, not necessarily correctly, as stress. Skull-shaped fractures. That includes all kinds of penetration of any planet in the universe, which approximately has a shape of the human skull. In reality, looking at its form, a certain viewpoint, all planets look like a human skull. Without any doubt, the sun simply is the shining genius amongst them. Evidently, that is the main reason why we have so much affection and fascination for the moon. 6. Skull-shaped eruptions, explosions. When all the heavy burden of living experience, sufferings, struggles, passions, humiliations, and embarrassments of one's past can't be controlled any longer, the person who's taking charge, a self-appointed leader, makes plenty noise. We recognize and accept in his destiny two different kinds of ending by virtue. The mental institution, where others cannot follow the natural and logical pace or gentleness of his thoughts, or the battlefield, where he'll obviously meet the hero's tragical fate as a dying general. Number 7, overskull psychedelic fractures, psychedelic and real fractures. A. Diffraction in its absolute physical and cosmic sense. The light as a nearly immeasurable phenomenon. B. Cracks doesn't necessarily imply to fractures. See under acoustics. The undetermined thickness of wood and sticks. C. Elbowing. Its best known form is when a fine young man clearly sees his crucial chance. Therefore, he joins the ruling party. D. Other occurrences, such as the breakage of ice on the lake. When we lose our composure, we soon experience overskull fractures. Let us mention here the surprisingly successful trick of Mr. Pulvari, a famous Hungarian physicist, judo ups. That is all he said on several dangerous occasions, and many lives were saved. 8. Kneeling and remorse. A fracture of the human soul somewhere below the skull level. A severe form of chiefly physical punishments of the humiliated soul with the optional corn layers. Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen.